So you see all these big time streamers having their chat interact with the game they're playing, and you realize the chat provides at least half of the content. They have the power to pivot the content at their own will, as the streamers at the dear mercy of the wittiest among the sea of seemingly jumbled usernames. But what happens when you try this idea when you're a small streamer with no fanbase or dedicated chatters? This is how I try to run Pokemon Sword, where the chat decides the rules, yet I'm at the bottom of the channel's list. Also, if you're interested in joining along future challenges, I stream at twitch.tv/Contesso. I'd love to see you there. So let me quickly explain the rules. The concept is that after each gym is beaten, a new rule is added on top of the currently existing rules. Hence, the game increasingly gets more difficult the further you advance. Now you might be asking, Dennis, if chat decides the rules and you have no chatters, how will you have these rules implemented? That's a good question. We never mentioned whose chat decides the rules. It can be any form of chat, either that be another Twitch channel, a Discord server, an Omegle online chat room, or even me asking a Tinder match. If a random passerby in my chat does not decide on a rule, I'll make ends meet, guaranteed. So I decided that having a baseline rule for the run would be best. I went with the classic, if a Pokemon faints, it dies, as it would be a good placeholder to make this challenge just that much harder. I went with Scorbunny as I thought it would have the highest success, as the first gym is a grass type and I didn't want to risk any issues this early on. Also because my mod wanted to fuck it. We named it Inspoken as it was the name of a random viewer who just entered a chat and automatically subbed to me. That legit has never happened before and I was thrown hella off guard. But now their dignity's in my hands. They're in the hands of an incompetent streamer, and we all know what's more inept than a regular streamer. A small streamer. So onward we went. We began our journey into clearing out all the gyms and saving the world against Chairman Rose, with the added pressure of fourth wall influencers deciding the fate of the Galar region. Except that isn't exactly how it went. I managed to catch a rookie dean named Zach, a Yamper named Big Follows named after a scam bot that entered my chat and wanted to ask me if I want to become famous and buy followers or viewers. A Galar Slowpoke named Kanye for obvious reasons, and a last second Grubbin that we deemed not worthy of a nickname, a giant L for all Grubbin enthusiasts out there. They seemed competent right until I bumped into an Onix that was level 26, while my highest level was 11. I tried running away knowing my possible fate, yet Onix held a grasp on me for a few turns. In my efforts of trying to run away safely for multiple turns, we lost our blazing hero, Inspoken.
Fuck!
Even though Inspoken left the chat during this time of this action, never to be seen again, I couldn't imagine the pain it would bring me that by any chance that they did come back, all excited to see their Scorbunny and how they're doing in the run, I would have to let them know the grim reality of the situation. After managing to escape, the rest of the Pokemon and I began grinding XP as we were not at the level to compete at the first gym yet. The grind was going well, right until a viewer was adamant about wanting to name a cute Pokemon Bean after the cat. It took a surprisingly long amount of time to decide what little Pokemon was worthy of a legendary title. We deemed that Stufful would be the heir of this title. Unknowingly, we underestimated the mere strength that is the bulldozing locomotive that is Stufful. As the battle started, as usual, Zach was carrying the team on his back, right until Stufful unleashed Payback, that insta one-shot killed Zach. Zach was carrying his team until his final breath. Next up was Kanye to step up against the Madman. As Kanye does Kanye things, Kanye went on a tweet storm and caused Stufful to yawn. While he was asleep, Kanye used another classic Kanye move called Confusion. This was super effective as it brought Stufful's health deep into the yellow. While still asleep, Kanye managed to hit him with another Confusion as he left him with a single literal HP away from death. Things were finally looking bright, right until Stufful broke out of the Pokeball, woke up immediately after, and defeated Kanye with a daring Payback once again. I decided to sacrifice Grubbin as he really was just a bench warmer in an all-star team. After 2 failed catches, to absolutely no one's surprise, Grubbin fell victim to Stufful. It was all up to Big Follows. With our final hope in sight, I threw a Pokeball. It shaked once, it shaked twice, it shaked 3. Stufful busted out. By the mere grace of the Galar gods, he didn't decide to lay his wrath down with Payback, but rather spared our boy with baby doll eyes. We had been spared for a reason. So I threw another Pokemon. Unfortunately, it didn't even bother to shake once. But with luck on our side once again, Stufful used Leer. At this point, it seemed like he was begging to join our team. So once again, I threw a Pokeball, but he broke free immediately, and from what it seems like an act of despair, he ruthlessly sent a brutal swing and insta one-shot Big Follows. The run was dead, and the legacy of the OG team was cemented. A new run was placed with the idea that the new underlying rule maybe shouldn't be if a Pokemon faints it dies, but rather if I white out, the run will be over. A viewer named Dark Forest randomly joined the chat and suggested that the underlying rule should be that no duplicate types are to be allowed in a party, both primary and secondary. A difficult yet possible opening. I chose Scorbunny again and named him Dark Forest as a sign of respect. Unfortunately, it seemed like this chatter was a pure definition of chaotic neutral, as they came just to cause havoc and instantly left, never to be seen again. I got a Rookie D named after Ike the Beast again, Daryl the Zigzagoon, Joker the Gossifleur, and Not Bean the Slowpoke. Luckily for us, a Stufful approached us on its own, and we decided to battle and catch it. This time being much easier as I had my starter Pokemon, plus turning off the dumbass part of my brain kinda helped. Finally, we came in acquisition of a Stufful named Bean 2. And now, finally, the legend of Bean 2 could begin as we started heading towards the first gym. So we went our way to Turffield to defeat his gym leader Milo. Without even a smidge of grinding, we went directly to the gym and easily beat him, thanks to Flameo Hot Man Dark Force. Now that the first gym was defeated, it was time for a new rule to be implemented into the run. Luckily, there was someone in chat, and they decided that no ugly Pokemon are to be allowed in the party. As innocent as this rule may seem, this had a big impact on my run thus far, because I was building up XP for my Gossifleur so that it can be a team carrier for the upcoming water gym. But at some point we passed by an Eldegoss and I wanted to catch it, but someone in my chat deemed that it was not cute. So ultimately we decided not to. For some reason I didn't realize that Gossifleur evolves into Eldegoss, and when Joker hit level 20, he evolved. And it was at this moment I realized all the XP grinding for the past hour was wasted, as I would have to immediately release Joker because of his glow down. So we released Joker and went on our search for a chat approved cute grass type Pokemon. After searching the wild area for an hour or so, we could not find a single worthy grass type. I did find a Nuzleaf though, but chat said they were not cute as, and I quote, they have nipples. Eventually I realized that in the daycare on Route 5, there is a Pokemon that gives you a Nuzzle to raise, the perfect Pokemon, an electric poison type to challenge the reign of the water type gym leader Nessa. We named him Riley, as I thought having my high school crush as an electrifying yet toxic representative would fit just right. The only thing being that it was still level 1, so I had to grind up all the way to level 25 to be competent. So I gave Nuzzle to the daycare thinking that running would give it XP, like in the older generations. Unfortunately, running around in a circle for 10 minutes, I checked and this gen no longer gives XP to the daycared Pokemon when you run, so I had to grind Riley the regular way, i.e. doing max raid battles and giving XP candies to boost him up. After a while, we managed to get him to level 30 to have him evolve into the beloved Toxicity. Now, with our team at a competent level, we made our way to Hulbury to defeat Nessa and obtain the second gym badge. The puzzle before the gym was so easy that even a 24-year-old streamer who lives with their parents could do it. So we finally came to battle Nessa. This time, I chose Violence. I right away Dynamaxed Riley and insta one-shot Goldeen, Arrokuda, and Dreadnought. My enemies were no match for Riley and I. Now that the second gym was defeated, I needed a new rule. This time there was quite literally no one in my chat. I had to make things happen. I joined the Pokemon Discord server and messaged them, but was left with an ultimately useless response. I tried calling my friend for an idea, but he never answered. I was left with no options but to go to the darkest route imaginable. Omegle. After waiting a while, I finally got somebody and just said, "Gamer." They immediately disconnected. However, the next person in line was someone special though. His first message was quite literally, which Pokemon would you fuck and or get fucked by? This man meant business. As I meant business too, I replied with, "I'll answer your question if you answer mine." And to my surprise, the horny man agreed. I asked him what rules should I make, and he just replied, I could tell he was deep in thought, contemplating the mathematical probabilities of creating a rule that would have the highest level of actionable impact, while also not bottlenecking the entire run to a limited yet conditional rule. So he said, for every other move a Pokemon learns, you have to skip. This man was here to cause chaos. I thanked the horny yet stubbornly intellectual man and parted ways. By the way, my answer to his question was C. So now with 3 rules in place, we had to work on a plan to defeat the third gym leader, Kabu. The Pokemon could not compete with other Pokemon types, had to be cute, and help me defeat the first fire gym. Quite the challenge for a Pokemon type indeed. I had to call a friend and ask him what Pokemon he thought was worthy of his position. He simply said, Wooper. And I couldn't agree more. I searched for hours for Whoop Whoop, yet couldn't find any, but I did find a Quagsire. I called my friend again and got the approval for Quagsire. Even though he was just level 15, I caught him and named him Darman. For obvious reasons. At this point, I just grinded him until he hit a competent level of 23, as I was now ready for the third gym against Kabu and his firemen. Turns out all you needed was a cracked out Quagsire and you can defeat Kabu's entire team.
Nice.
The old man was no match for the modern day small streamer. Gym 3 was down, thus a new rule had to be implemented. My mod was in chat and decided that for every Pokemon in my party that faints, cut a bit of your hair. And to no one's surprise, I lost inches of hair in the first 2 hours alone. In fact, my trash can was filled with hair by the end of the run. This rule added nothing to the lore, but only a slight inconvenience for the protagonist, i.e. me. After beating up MILFs, Coachella tank girls, and a deranged artist throwing his Pokeball like a Tawelchi warrior, we made it to Stow-on-Side to face every Feet King lover and Bottom's queen, Bea, the fighting type gym leader. 3 rides of nausea-inducing pinball simulator later,
Imagine doing this gym with like the Joy-Cons are just like fucked. It's like half the player base just really can't do this gym.
we reached the queen herself, and as usual, Ike the Beast carried a team on his back with the clever and complex use of spamming Steel Wing. For the next rule, my riveting chat decided that I cannot use items outside of battles. This was probably as a result of me using 20 leftover potions on 2 Pokemons just to avoid Pokecenters. Gym Leader 5, Opal, was no match for me as well, as Ike plowed his thick black beaks through every Weezer fan in sight. As a result, they're able to pick the next rule again, and their rule was that you can only deal damage through not very effective or super effective moves. This challenge got a whole lot harder. The next town on our journey was the Canada of Galar, Chichester. Chichester? But not until a whiny little hop had to interrupt us. On the bridge, like Naruto and Sasuke on the Valley of the End, the protagonist and his plot rival fought for their lives. Until now, I haven't even considered Hop a worthy kid of the title as my rival. Up until this point even, he was just a bug that resurfaced every other day and I just had to quickly put him in his place. But with the latest rule, things were different. The battle started out easy. Dark Force easily beat Trevenant and Snorlax, while Darman easily beat Heatmore. The problem arose when Hop brought out Boltund. In a typical run, this Pokemon would not be a problem, but there was a single move that messed everything up. Roar. A move that instantly scares off the target and replaces it with another random Pokemon in the party. With the addition of the latest rule and a Mad Dog roaring every other turn, things were not fun. Once again, he used Roar, and Ike was switched out with Bean 2. I couldn't have a clear plan to defeat this Pokemon. Since B2 did not have any not effective or very effective moves, I just defense curled.
Does all he knows Roar?
And Ike was brought back into the battle. I used Steel Wing as it's not very effective, but it put a little bit of a dent into his health. Once again, Boltund used Roar as if it was the only move he knew for his life, and Not Bean was swapped in. This time, however, Boltund decided to actually use a move and insta one-shotted Not Bean with a Crunch. Ike was brought back onto the field with a simple plan in mind, just Oonga Boonga Steel Wing as much as we can. This plan immediately backfired, however, as Boltund paralyzed Ike. But somehow, Ike managed to land one more Steel Wing and brought him to quite literally 2 HP. Boltund used Roar and now Bean 2 is up. As he tanked damage, I decided to give Dark Force a Hyper Potion, as I knew the next Pokemon was Rillaboom. Now was just a waiting game for him to roar Bean 2 out and hope Ike would be chosen to come on the field. Bean 2 was defeated and a paralyzed Ike was on the field.
Oh God.
Despite being paralyzed from the neck down, he managed to land a Steel Wing and we finally defeated Boltund. After this, Dark Force was sent onto the battlefield and me thinking a single Pyro Ball could secure the bet. I sent one his way and Rillaboom managed to avoid it. And on top of that, crit hit me with a knockoff, which brought my HP all the way down to 37. So I tried again the next turn, and he still managed to avoid it. On top of that, he sent a slam my way that left my Dark Force at a scary 3 HP. I had just one Pyro Ball left in my PP. This was my only shot before the run was possibly dead. And luckily for us, Not only did the Pyro Ball hit, it insta one-shotted him. Thus, the journey continues. To Sir Chester we went and instantly went to the gym, and thanks to the god among men that is Darman, he plowed his way to earning the 6th gym. The next rule was decided that the same move cannot be used twice in a row. This, paired with the last rule, proved to be a challenge in itself. After a quick trip to the barber and explaining circle jerks to a random viewer,
Action. Right. Now this is you.
we went our way to Spikemuth to defeat Piers for the 7th gym. Ike the Beast, Darman, and Dark Force managed to easily defeat his Pokemon, and the only gym leader in sight was Raihan of the Hammerlock Gym. My mod was in chat at this time, and he decided that the newest rule would be that after every 10 fights, I have to release a Pokemon. With these 8 rules in place, we made our way to Hammerlock and faced our hardest battle yet, by a large margin in fact. 3 of my Pokemon were in a weakened state from the gym trainers before, as the battle started with Raihan's Flygon and Gigalith versus my Ike and Dark Force. Ike played a pivotal part in this battle, as his role was to act as a damage taker and a pacemaker of the battle, as he was flying and 3/4 of Raihan's team was ground-based, thus having no effect on him. Unfortunately for me, I did not have any Pokemon that was super effective against ground types, so with him, it was a stalling game. First turn, I decided to swap Dark Force with Darman and gave him a Lemonade to boost his HP back up from what he lost in the previous battles. Ike hit Gigalith with a Steel Wing as Darman did extra damage with a Waterfall. A key note of this battle was that I cannot do the same move twice in a row, thus I had to strategically not waste every other turn. I decided that for every other turn, Darman would alternate between Amnesia, that would increase his special defense, and Rain Dance, that would eliminate the Sandstorm that came back every so often. Ike defeated Gigalith with a Steel Wing, and Raihan brought in the Sandaconda and immediately paralyzed Ike. What might have been a big mistake, I Dynamaxed Ike and had him use Guard while Darman sent a Waterfall Sandaconda's way. With the ultimate read, Raihan had Sandaconda use Protect, and thus a whole turn was wasted. I used Ike's turn to Hyper Potion Darman and had him use Rain Dance. Ike returned to his normal form in what seemed like a wasted use of one of my biggest weapons. Flygon then crit hit Ike with a Thunder Punch that left him with a measly 7 HP left, while Darman hit Sandaconda with another Waterfall. One more Waterfall was all that it would take to take him down, but I had to have Darman survive another turn in order to do so. I Hyper Potioned Ike, and Darman used Amnesia. Next turn, Flygon defeated Ike with a Thunder Punch. As usual, Ike carried a team and was a defining role in this battle. The Kyrie Irving to the LeBron James of this battle, shall I say. In Ike's place, I brought Nopbean the Slowpoke onto the field. Though he did not last very long on the field, his role was critical. Land just 1 yawn on Flygon. Sandaconda used Protect while Flygon used Crunch on Nopbean. For all that mattered, he barely survived the hit and managed to land a yawn on Flygon. Next turn, he defeated Nopbean, but it was too late. Nopbean's ultimate sacrifice paved the way for the light at the end of the tunnel, and Flygon fell asleep. Our only hope was that he stays asleep for as long as possible and to do as much damage as possible with this opportunity. I decided to bring out Riley so that I can use his turn to Hyper Potion Darman and have him finish off Sandaconda. Flygon stayed asleep, but Sandaconda one-shotted Riley with an Earth Power. Once again, a small victory for Raihan, but a much needed sacrifice on my end for this war. Sandaconda was then defeated, and thus his final Pokemon came onto the field. Duraludon, a Steel Dragon-type Pokemon. I brought Bean 2 onto the field to have him rack up some damage before I brought Dark Force onto the battlefield, so that I can eliminate Flygon and optimally fight Duraludon in a 2v1 with both Dark Force and Darman. And to my luck, Flygon was still asleep. Both of my Pokemon managed to do some damage on Flygon and brought him into the red zone. Just one more turn was all that we needed. Duraludon then defeated Bean 2, and finally, my last 2 Pokemon were on the field. It was all up to these 2. If I lose, the run is over. Dark Force managed to do some damage onto Duraludon with a double kick, but it was at this point Flygon woke up. Now, things could easily turn bad for us. Unknowing to me, Duraludon knew how to use rock moves, and in his Dynamax form, he used Max Rock Fell and insta one-shot Dark Force. But luckily, Darman managed to defeat Flygon in the same turn. It was all up to this. A 1v1 between a tiny hero and a colossal demon. Even though ground is super effective to Steel, my odds were not looking too good, given that my only ground move was Mud Shot that did a whopping 55 damage. This was potentially looking like at the end of the run. Then, at the same turn, Darman leveled up to level 52, and our only hope was displayed on the screen. Darman wants to learn Earthquake. But wait, Rule 3 said that every other move learned had to be skipped. So I had to check if I learned my latest move or not. The latest move learned was Dark Force Learning Double Edge, but did I not have a Pokemon skip a learn move after that? After some searching, the last opportunity was with giving Not Being Rain Dance, and in that situation, I had to skip it. Can't learn this one. So all the stars aligned for this specific opportunity, just so that Darman could learn Earthquake, right in the last possible second for a chance to defeat the final Pokemon of the final gym. I had Darman give up Rain Dance, and I finally had exactly what I needed, a high damage ground move that was super effective against Duraludon. I just needed to make sure either I was faster than him or that I can withstand a single turn's punch. Duraludon returned to a normal state this turn, and I had a choice. Darman was in an awkward spot HP wise. Do I give him a Hyper Potion or do I go for the Earthquake this turn? With the stars aligning for this exact moment, I believed in Darman's plot armor and went for the Earthquake. Unfortunately, Duraludon was faster and hit me with a Breaking Swipe. And thanks to Darman's plot armor, he managed to survive and lay a fatal blow with a timely godsend help of a critical hit. The battle was over. With the sacrifice of the rest of our Pokemon, the protagonist of this run, Darman, led us to an anime-style victory as we earned our final badge. With the gyms beaten, the only things left were the Champions Cup, the rest of the main quest, and a new rule. And as a final rule, my mod decided that for every Pokemon that faints, I have to put on an extra shirt. Yeah, learning from my mistakes from the battle with Raihan, I replaced Not Being with a new Pokemon, a Glaceon named Kellogg. Even though Not Being was a hero in many matches, his role in the team was super limited and way too situational. Glaceon, however, was a good fit as in the Champions Cup you faced Raihan and Leon, and I had no answers to Dragon types. So the first game was against Marnie, and I am so sorry for just how bad I completely obliterated you. Oh my god. You're still the queen of my heart though. Next was Hop, as I am still in awe to this day how he made it this far when he just found out what super effective moves are. And this kid was stupid enough to not include Boltund after what happened that one game. So it's no surprise, I put him in his place and belittled him into finally realizing he'll never fulfill his dreams of being better than his brother Leon. Main questline and cutscenes in a battle against Chairman Rose's secretary later, Beat interrupted the Champions Cup broadcasting to tell the world that they aren't a failure? I mean, don't you worry, I put Beat in his place, but damn, was this an effective self-promotion for Beat? I mean, I should walk up to an NBA Finals game, get on the court, and plug my Twitch and YouTube channel at this point if it's that easy. After cutting my hair and putting on more layers of shirts. Next in the cup was Nessa. I easily bulldozed my way through her team with Riley, but as with the 8th rule, this was the 10th battle. I left the fate of my team up to a number generator between 1 and 6, and I got 4, which meant that Riley had to be released. Thank you for your help all the way from level 1, friend. So y'all know what that means? Not Being is back in the big leagues, let's fucking go. So we easily beat Bea with the help of Ike. And it was time for the awaited rematch against Raihan. Up first was Darman versus Torkoal, and despite a close call with Solar Beam, Darman defeated Torkoal with a waterfall. Next, Flygon came onto the field and it was time for the debut of Kellogg. And with the help of Freeze Dry, what was once a major adversary to the team, Flygon fell, as so did Goodra. Turtonator was then one-shot from Darman's Earthquake, as next up was finally the awaited battle. Darman versus Duraludon. Raihan immediately Dynamaxed him, but this time, it wasn't going to be a tiny warrior gazing up at a giant, but rather, 2 titans looking at each other face to face. After a couple turns of exchanging damage, Duraludon returned back to his normal state. Oh boy, how the tables have turned as I finished him off with a Max Quake to defeat Raihan for the 2nd time. It was now time to go back to Hammerlock and face off Chairman Rose before he destroys the world. Yet, it was too late as the legendary extraterrestrial Pokemon Eternatus was already unleashed into the world, causing havoc. And to solidify why Cinderace is the best Pokemon, he, with the help of Darman, easily defeated Chairman Rose. This was the culprit behind everything going on? This guy? Either way, it was time to get to the roof to face off Eternatus ourselves. I defeated Virgin Boy Eternatus through Darman, and it was time to face him again, but in Master Hand form. It was Hop and I versus the legendary Pokemon. I sent out Glaceon while Hop brought out Dubwool. Can we talk about this kid decided to bring out a sheep against a sentient being that has so much energy that it is the source of all Dynamax energy? A sheep. Like, Glaceon is not all that threatening looking, but goddamn, at least he can bring out a blizzard. So, since none of our moves were having any effect on them, through the power of friendship, we summoned legendary Pokemon Zacian and Zamazenta. It was now the 4 of us versus Eternatus. I took a chunk of his HP while Hop and his double did a whole lot of nothing.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
And to no one's surprise, Double fainted as Kellogg and his legendary homies defeated Eternatus and saved the world from total collapse. And a sheep. We were given a chance to catch Eternatus, and as a joke, I decided to throw a regular Pokeball. I can't even catch a Bidoof with a Pokeball. How in the world is a regular Pokeball gonna work? Yet, whatever power of the universe made Hop and his double get this far also caused me to catch Eternatus. I mean, seriously, I should never see any Pokemon break out from a Pokeball from now on. As Zacian and Zamazenta cliche flew into the sun like a pair of flies jumping into a bug zapper, the source of all Dynamax energy was in my hand. So as one does in a situation, I did a heads or tails on whether or not to keep him, and I got tails. So I released him back into the world for the people of Galar to deal with in another 1,000 years. That'll be fine. But now it was time for the long-awaited match between Galar champion and fortunate son, Leon and I. He started the battle with Aegislash as I started with Dark Force. I used a Pyro Ball, but then Aegislash protected themselves with King's Shield. As I couldn't repeat the same move and didn't have any other super effective or not very effective moves, the only thing I can think of doing was BMing the Galar champion by throwing a Pokeball at him in front of thousands of people on live television. Next turn I defeated Aegislash and then Haxorus came onto the field. I brought out Kellogg, but then Leon sent an Iron Tail my way. I sent Kellogg's HP down to 11. Fortunately, I defeated Haxorus with one hit with Blizzard. Next up was Dragapult, as I immediately used a Max Potion as I knew for a fact that Dragapult was one of the fastest Pokemon in the game. In the same turn, I completely forgot that Dragapult can also learn Flamethrower, as Leon sent Kellogg's HP back into the yellows. I brought out Dark Force so that Dragapult can one-shot him, and I can bring out the key star of this plan, Not Bean the heavily underleveled Slowpoke. And Not Bean was good at one thing and one thing alone, his ability to yawn, in which I had him do just that this turn. As expected, a level 62 Dragapult was faster than my level 47 Slowpoke. But this was all according to plan, as what should have one-shotted Not Bean ended up having him survive with just 1 HP. You guessed it, I saved the focus hash this whole entire run, just so that I can give it to Not Bean for this exact moment, as he was then able to use Yawn on Dragapult that would cause him to fall asleep after the next turn. Dragapult then defeated Not Bean, but as usual, Not Bean has always been a one and done type of guy his whole life. Dragapult then fell asleep as I brought Kellogg to finish him off. I decided to go for a Blizzard, but when everything was set up for this exact moment, Kellogg missed. Luckily for us, Dragapult stayed asleep as I sent a Freeze Dry their way and defeated them easily. Next up was Mr. Rhyme, as he defeated Kellogg with a single Psychic, but Kellogg played his part in his battle. I brought out Ike the Beast and did Hone Claws so that next turn I can defeat him with a single Steel Wings. Unknowing to me, Mr. Rhyme knew Thunderbolt and brought out Ike's HP down to the yellows. With the help of Hone Claws, I managed to take down Mr. Rhyme the next turn. Next, Leon brought out Inteleon, but I had no Pokemon that was super effective to water. So I decided to then Dynamax Ike and hit him with a not very effective Steel Spike. I then wasted a revive on Notnon and brought out Darman to tank some damage while I figured out a plan. And it was at this point I happened to realize Kellogg's Freeze Dry, despite being an ice move, it explicitly states that it is super effective against water types. A single move that could potentially save the entire run. So I revived Kellogg and sent him to the field. Inteleon then Snipe Shot that sent Kellogg's health to almost exactly half HP. I chose Freeze Dry, but Inteleon was faster and sent another Sniper Shot my way. This time, luckily leaving me at 18 HP as I then used Freeze Dry and defeated Inteleon. This was the final Pokemon battle of the run, Leon's Charizard. I used this turn to Max Potion Darman so that I can easily finish off his Charizard. Leon then Dynamax Charizard and defeated Kellogg, as I then brought out a full HP Darman onto the field, ready to finish the game. Except that isn't how it went. The turn started with Charizard using Max Overgrowth as I was in complete shock. How in the world is Charizard able to learn a grass move? Darman fainted, and I realized just how much harder this battle got. My final Pokemon, Bean 2, was on the field. I decided to revive Darman as Charizard one-shot Bean 2 with a max air strain. This turn, he returned to his normal state. But I did not attack this turn as I didn't know exactly what his grass attack move was, as I thought it could either be a weak grass move or a strong one. I didn't want to risk it, so I decided to revive Bean 2. At this point, Charizard prepared a Solar Beam. This was the grass move all along. The next turn, he sent it my way, and me thinking that it would one-shot me, but I survived with 48 HP. I then went with Earthquake the next turn, cause ground is effective against fire. But in a classic dumb Dennis move, I completely forgot that Charizard is immune to grab moves. I wasted a huge opportunity. Charizard prepared another Solar Beam, and I was super confident I would survive it, so I prepared Waterfall to finish him off. This time, Solar Beam one-shotted Darman, even without a crit hit. Bean 2 was up again, and as expected, I revived Darman. Even though I knew Charizard would waste his first turn preparing a Solar Beam, I was too scared, just in case he one-shot me with another Solar Beam. So when Darman came up, I revived Ike the Beast. I was gambling on the chance that since he survived the Solar Beam the first time, he can survive another time. Unexpectedly, Charizard defeated Ike with a single Fire Blast. Once again, I revived Darman and brought him up, and as expected, he prepared for a Solar Beam. This was my time to finish him off. Darman used Waterfall, and the game was over. Or so I thought. In reality, Charizard managed to barely survive. I used my second to last revive to bring Dark Force back into the game. Charizard expectedly Solar Beam Darman, and Dark Force was up. I then used my final revive on Darman once again. Charizard defeated Dark Force, and finally, the big boy was up for the last time. The only Pokemon left in my team, and I figured it was all or nothing. Go big or go home. I chose to do Waterfall, and as expected, Charizard foolishly decided to prepare a Solar Beam. And with this, Darman was able to land a Waterfall against him, and finally, after so many revives, we defeated Galar champion Leon and finished the run. Thank God Rule 5 didn't say can't use items battle. That would have screwed me over so bad that last battle. So yeah, that was my run in Pokemon Sword where chat of any form decides the rules. This one was very doable, but it was still a lot of fun with the mix of gameplay rules and punishing rules. If you liked the video, I would greatly appreciate a like. And if you want to see more of this type of content, I'll be really grateful if you would subscribe. I plan on doing this challenge for Pokemon Platinum in the upcoming weeks, so if you'd like to be part of that, you should check me out on Twitch at Contesso. I try to stream every Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturdays. So yeah, if you made it this far, thank you again for watching. I hope to see you all next time.